Okay, here we are, episode 2, our podcast, Mom Proof. Being comfortable with the uncomfortable. God, that's hard to say, but we are, we're doing it. We've got teenagers that are almost headed out the door for college, and with my good friends Sandra and Kathleen, we're going to talk about this and see if we can help somebody out there go through, help them with what they're going through. I think the first thing we should talk about, Sandra, is what you touched on earlier.
Yeah, I was talking about an experience I had recently. My daughter texted me and said she was having a lot of anxiety about going off to college. Then, immediately I have to be very careful not to try and fix everything. So I was like, well, what made you feel that way? I was trying to get her to discuss with me. And she just basically mentioned, and she said she felt like she was losing her childhood.
Oh, wow.
Which really triggered me because I was feeling like I'm losing my child.
And that's the part of this whole process that is so similar, I think, that we could all touch on, is there's something about grief that is I don't want to say triggered necessarily, but it resembles grief. They're losing their childhood. We're losing a child, and I have losing in quotations, but wow, does it feel heavy? And it does trigger anxiety there for sure. Trigger anxiety. Jamie, what do you think about that experience with your own people, or what you had 17 kids? We've clarified for us.
I've had 700 children, and I still don't have it right. So don't think any of you parents out there are ever going to get it all the way right.
No.
But we sure are learning along the way. And I think, Sandra, as you said, it's so important to talk amongst your friends and really talk amongst your friends,
amongst
right?
yourselves.
And be able to share what you're feeling. And that rolls over to our kids. And I wish I'd done this with some of my older kids, because their anxiety, I don't believe they really had an outlet to really just feel the anxiety, talk about what it was, and then know it was going to be okay. And I think that goes back to teaching our kids and sharing with our friends that it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Did you say, James, that you thought that you didn't know how to teach it at the time?
Yeah.
Is that what you just said, basically?
When they would say, I'm anxious, we want to fix a problem.
Yeah,
what are
this
you anxious
is 21
about?
years ago.
Or breathe, or what? But now they have to, and I would say to my youngest, you have to sit in that and be comfortable with that. Comfortable doesn't mean feeling good about it, but just knowing that you're going to get through it at some point.
And it's really hard, because even personally, sitting in it does not feel good. And
I know who said that. Who decided that was a good idea? Studies show.
And just processing it. But I think it's like finding tools to also feel it, or to make yourself feel a little better. Could be like planning for yourself, planning for, advise your child to plan as well. Because for me, her going off to college, and we're very close, I found that it was easier if I sat down with a calendar and wrote down the dates that I was going to see her.
That's brilliant, dude. That is, I'm totally borrowing
the transaction.
That. And I didn't mean to interrupt. I just got so excited right there, because what a tool. Because what I heard as a therapist was they can visually feel the control they're taking. And if that control can be ignited in them, because they're feeling out of control, aren't we all?
Right.
Like, it's so frenetic right now. So that's so cool. Like, I'm literally borrowing that thing.
That's a great takeaway is from today's episode, is if anybody gets anything as you're launching a kid, bring the fact up that you're going to see them sooner than later. Or I didn't do that with any of my kids. Really? And now I have one that's going down the road and I don't really have to do it. But that would have been great if I would have said, hey, okay, I'm going to see you September 8th.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing, right? But makes sense.
What else, Sandra? Do you have any other suggestions?
I printed out her college calendar to see what days she was, going to be coming home. But also to touch on the fact where she's saying, I feel like I'm losing my childhood. It's kind of a bittersweet, because she's happy she's going off to college and she's going to be an adult and she's going to be able to make her decisions and all this. But at the same time, she's also feeling like, wow, I'm not going to be at home. I'm not going to be close to my mom and, my dad, or my brother. So, what I just said to her was, well, you have to look at it like you're just moving on to a different phase in life, and maybe think about some fun, joyful moments that you're going to have along the way, along with the responsibilities. Just kind of try and balance it out. But of course, it's easier said than done.
Yes.
But I feel like visualization is really important.
Yeah.
That's a good tool. That's a good tool.
Yeah. And some kids need to listen to things. You know,
Right.
Some you have
Podcasts
different.
Or is that what
Yeah.
you meant?
Well, they have to listen to what's going on, right? Like
what you
as I'm
mean.
talking to
Like
you, or
kinesthetic
even
versus-
a message.
Yes.
You know, I sometimes will call my kids. I don't know about y'all's, but my kids don't always answer the phone when I
Right.
call. So I actually do leave messages.
That's awesome. Do they know how to check messages?
Yeah.
Do they have a voicemail set up?
Wait, that's another thing. I don't know if they actually hear them.
No,
I do leave
yeah.
them.
You have to
Yes.
get Snapchat.
But they not apparently
You have to snap them.
they don't want me to.
Well, so, it's what an interesting, though, point for us to just pause. And like as moms and dads or caregivers that are seeing their 17, 18, 19-year-olds off to the next phase, whatever it is, right? School, working, both. What are we going to do to cope? How are we going to manage the loneliness, the emptiness, the anxiety that is triggered by our baby has left? And James, I know you have the other experience. I don't know if you're going to tell us it gets easier or it's just different.
You know, it is just different. I don't think it's easier. But what I do know to be true now, launching the very last, is that I don't really have, I'm divorced now, 2 years. I with all the other kids, it was my husband and I that would talk about at the time, right? And I don't have that person to really just reach back into those memories and I wonder if she thinks about that too. You know, as she's launching. But I think because we say talk about it, so this is where our friend group, our best friends, our girlfriends or guy friends, whoever, that circle of trust and people that are your people, your tribe, man, you got to talk about it. I love the other day, Sandra, when you said something about, I cry every day. Or how are you coping right now? What's going on? I cry every day. Well, maybe some of us actually feel like crying, but we don't. And maybe it's good to do that.
Yeah.
But it is different on my own. I feel like I've done these last 2 years all on my own as a single parent. It's just a different vibe, a different, and I almost even feel even better. Sometimes I wonder if you did okay, but I am like, man, I'm looking in the mirror like Mel Robbins in the high five saying,
Nice.
I got this. I can do it. I did a good job. And I think even if we didn't do a great job or a perfect job, good is really good enough in parenting.
Yes, it is. I love what I was thinking of her in the mirror right then. Jamie, I was thinking, but that isn't not easy because it's risk taking to even do something like that for yourself. Yeah. But last week we mentioned the sticky note idea for the kids, like when they leave. But think about our own sticky notes. And I actually use that with clients. And so why wouldn't I, as a mom and a therapist, go, dude, I should totally write some positive things to myself.
Because we're not perfect.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Wait, we've got to model this stuff.
And I think we forget because we're trying to manage so many other things. And, for me, it's like I'm busy all day. But when I'm laying in bed, that's when I start to get, when you have that downtime.
Being still.
Yes, that's when I start to think about stuff and, imagine that loneliness that is going to set in. And she does the same thing because, she'll come down and come lay in my bed saying, oh, I'm stressing about this or I'm worrying about this. And then, we just kind of talk about it and then she starts to feel a little better and I try to feel better. But I think talking about it is very important. And I also realize that some kids don't talk.
Yeah.
So, I think just being aware and looking for signs of
and she's so
what they may be
forthcoming to
feeling.
you.
Yes.
She comes
Yeah,
and
you're
says,
very
I'm
lucky
feeling.
that you're very fortunate.
Yes, that's. Now, I don't know if that's typical. If other parents listening would say they have that. I bet it's the 80-20 rule that 80% of us don't have that.
I'm going to guess so too.
Yeah,
I mean, none of my other
no.
kids would do that.
But your daughter's doing that at this.
She doesn't come in and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. She's not open like that. I have go in and hang out in her room and we talk and chat and then things kind of organically come out.
Nice.
Or if something's really going on, she'll share. But it's not just a regular. Yeah,
this kid over
you're very
here.
fortunate
Yeah,
with
she's
that.
very EQ.
And it is that time that we're in bed, right? We got to be aware of that to take care of ourselves, to make sure that we're healthy too. And I love the pray.com app.
Okay.
They have it's several different. I don't know if plugging them is good, bad, or otherwise. How can you be mad at me for plugging pray.com? Never mind. I'm taking that back.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, right, to teach our kids that too, about falling asleep, meditating. Go to sleep with those positive
That's
attitudes, because
really
that's how you will wake up.
positive.
If you go to sleep anxious, guess how you're going to wake up.
Well, somehow that's just brilliant, right? Another brilliant nugget from our mom proof.
Our mom proof group.
Yeah, woo, that's hard to say. Jamie, I love that. What about, do you think do any of your teenagers do any journaling or, that's a rare thing anymore. I think it's all through the social media almost. It's like express out, like.
I think mine does. I told her a while back to write down how she was feeling, because in my opinion, if you write down how you're feeling at the moment, because then you forget what upset you. But if you can go back and maybe find a pattern of, well, this is what's bothering me, because it's so easy to say, well, what's bothering you? But I don't know what's bothering me. I just feel a certain way, right? And how am I going to figure out how I feel but maybe if I write it down, then I'm starting to see a pattern of when I feel it and why I'm feeling it.
Yes.
So good. You know what I'm going to say. I wrote a book called Staying Bothered.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you did.
And the whole idea of staying bothered is that you can be bothered about something, but if you turn that into something good, then that bothered, almost negative connotation, actually turns into an action item of doing something. So you're suggesting journaling is good. It's being bothered, but doing something positive about it, which means change occurs after that happens.
Perfect.
So,
well, change sure did occur for you and the country of Cambodia. That's pretty amazing. So if y'all don't know about Jamie's work there, check out that for some inspiration, people. When your kids are off and then you're found nothing to do, go build some schools in the infrastructure of Cambodia and just see how your life goes. Anyway.
I'll shamelessly plug
I'm just saying. I mean, just in case people didn't know, because anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, and so it's so interesting because I have a kid who's more like, I don't know if we're speaking it. Like we do a lot of hugging, a lot of hanging out more so recently, but she isn't as touchy-feely. She is very intelligent. So I know she can have these conversations, but I don't know if
Scorpio.
I know this is Scorpio child, as I speak to my Scorpio friend. But with her, what I've noticed is just, and this kind of has come up, the hanging out. She slept with me last night when my husband was out of town traveling. All of a sudden, she'd be like, "Hey, I'm sleeping down here," and I was like, "Awesome!" Yeah. And I wanted so much to reach over and stroke her and play with her hair, and I just did one little tickle, and I was like, "Sleep well," and I was like, my baby's in the bed with me, but I didn't lose it. I just respected it. But she did come to me. And sidebar, there's research now showing that kids, if they feel like they can be in control of when they emote, how they emote, and so forth, they will do it. And it's typically at night when we're in bed and they know, here, check this out. Picture you're in your bed, your kid's standing at the doorwell, and they're in control. They started the conversation. They can end it any time. They can walk off. They're in control. Picture that as far as how they feel at that time of night. We're in bed. It's
done.
No longer our agenda.
We don't care about being in control. That is so interesting and insightful.
Thank you. I just
love
read that.
Yeah.
And so I just think about, let's be really open, even though we're exhausted, if they come to us at those times. And it sounds like yours does that frequently.
I mean, we could, sometimes you're annoyed, right?
For sure.
Because sometimes she'll wake me up. And I'm like, "Are you asleep?" And I'm like, "Yes, I was asleep." But I understand when you feel a certain way. And we actually had a conversation about, I asked her, she has a friend who's going to San Diego State where she's going. And I asked her, I said, "Is your friend feeling the same way as you?"
Is it also a female?
It's a girl, yes. So I said, "Does she feel the same way, that because she's going far too and all this?" And she said, "No, but she's the kind of person who doesn't react until she's in the situation."
Oh, boy, that's insightful.
And then I was like, that's
the mouths of
interesting because
babes.
she is processing now where other kids maybe process when they get there.
Ooh, that's a good thing to ask our children.
Yes.
In general, like that's a good example to just bring it up. Maybe we use that example without names or whatever. Just say like, hey, there's, because that's a great way. Because what if my kid isn't acting nervous because she hasn't even gotten there in her mind to act as if she's in this new setting?
Right.
Interesting, Sandra. I love it.
Ooh, parents, take that one away. That's a good one. That is good.
I know. Make sure we review at the end with our nuggets here because
yes, and we actually should get to our nuggets. Okay. We could wrap this one up for today, but I think what we're coming away with and hopefully really being able to share is sitting in that anxiety feeling and know you're going to get through it, right?
And then having tools to first once you sit with it and you can name it like, oh, I'm feeling anxious, like that's going to be okay. That's a passing feeling. But then doing some of the tools we talked about. And of course, Sandra, like I love that you had her just start writing down. See if there's a pattern.
Journaling, planning.
Planning,
Which
creative
I'm
visualization.
Not a planner, but
well, the calendar thing.
But it's nice to know that you have something to look forward to.
Right.
Really good.
That is great.
I'm thinking if there was any other.
Well, and I think let's add to, I don't know about yours, but again, I do know about yours. Who am I kidding? I'll say that to every mom or parent out there, mom or dad. These kids are on full on end of year senioritis, party every weekend, last party, last this, last everything.
Breakfast.
And everything, right? And I reminded my daughter the other night of just being careful. You know, they're in a hurry right now. Be careful when you get in your car. Don't drink and drive. If you've got a friend at a party with you and they're drinking, do something, say something. Be that person.
Good,
be
Jamie.
careful right now. We know what happens this time of year. Sometimes, tragedies occur. They happen every day, but let's just keep telling our kids.
Yeah, and even tell them, call me and no judgment.
No judgment.
I won't ask. I'm just grateful that you're calling me.
Totally.
Good one. Yeah.
Perfect takeaway, ladies, because we know about the impulsivity at this age. You couple that with some excitement, and they're full on.
And they're adults,
and
right?
They're adults.
Oh, they think they're really full on acting adults. That's perhaps part of our next episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks, ladies. I would say this was awesome, and we hope we were able to touch some hearts and souls out there in the hard land, tough land of parenting. So
nicely said, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Over and out.